Bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-dum ba-ba-dum rum bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-dum ba-ba-dum. Hello, my friends. I see everyone coming in. I see everyone from my mighty members and Facebook and what is this? It's Instagram, and we're on Instagram and Pinterest, and we're all over the place. So please share as much as you can. Hello, my friends. My name is Joette Calabrese, and I do one thing and one thing only, and that is I teach you homeopathy every Monday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Never missed a Monday, I don't think. Well, we've missed a Monday when we had technical problems. And so, my friends, for those of you who already know me, hi, friends. Great to see you. I'd like to see you hopping in. My month-old loves Joette singing. Oh, my gosh. Thank you. What a lovely thing to say. Jim, that's wonderful. Hi, Maria from Australia. You don't say that, but I know where you're from. Hi, friends. Great to see everyone from Ontario and Ajax, Ontario, and Kentucky, and Pennsylvania, and New York, and Missouri, and Tennessee, and it's great to see everyone. Hello, friends. We've got something to talk about tonight, haven't we? We are going to talk about this one right here, right? Is that where you put it? Okay, thank you. We are going to talk about leg cramps. Now, I'm going to tell you something kind of interesting, and that is that when we talk about cramps, we're talking about cramps for actually a number of parts of the body. Menstrual cramps, hand cramps, but mostly we're talking about muscle, okay? So hands, calves, feet, thighs. So cramps are really, leg cramps are particularly good to know, because once you get how to treat leg cramps, especially in the middle of the night, then we are sure to be able to figure out a couple of others as well. Leg cramps, feet cramps, and leg can be actually along the side. It can actually be the shins. But more often than not, it's the calves and the tops of the feet, bottoms of the feet, toes, hands. Generally, that's where the cramps reside. And I have to tell you, I have a few favorites, and my very favorite is Mag Phos. I'm going to show you a bottle of Mag Phos. This is actually an old bottle, as you can see, Mag Phos. Mag Phos 6X. I just use it in a 6X. And I get these pills, and I open up the bottle, and I pour about 4 pills into that, and then I put it in my mug. And this is a great mug that a student gave me. And it says on it, "What did Joette say to the girl who asked if she had any Advil to spare?" It says, "Oh, nay, nay, have some Mug Phos." So it's actually called Mag Phos, as you know. You can see the bottle is actually magnesium phosphoricum, but I've nicknamed it Mug Phos because it works even faster and better when it's in a mug in hot water. So what we would put in, 4 or 5 pills or so, fill it up with some hot water here, wait for it to dissolve, which is pretty much instantaneous if you're using this particular company, or any, it doesn't really matter what pharmacy it is, it will dissolve. Once it dissolves, you stir it once, it's still hot, and you take a sip, thusly. Sip. Okay. And we're going to take it as frequently. I'm going to show you. I'm going to demonstrate how frequently we use this. Now, one of the ways that we know to use Mag Phos, or what I call Mug Phos, is it feels better with pressure and warmth. So, excuse me. Okay, second sip. Still hot. The water's still hot. The way we use this is so that the way we know that this is to be used is particularly, not only is the cramping aching, but it is also, if you hold it or you press it, let's say it's the calf, and you press it or you put a hot water bottle against it, it gives it some relief. Excuse me. You see how frequently I'm taking a sip of the hot water with the mug phos in it? And so usually within a short period of time, often before we even finish this cup of mug phos, we find that the pain is pretty much gone. If it's not gone, it means either we need to repeat it again, 4 to 5 or so pills of the mug phos in the cup, add more hot water, and start again. But we would be sipping this frequently in order to get rid of cramping in the legs, the feet, the hands, the calves, even menstrual cramps. This is one of our best medicines for this. Now, what's fascinating about this is that you might find that you'd use it a few times and then you no longer need it again. It's done. You fixed it. I've had that experience myself, and I've had many clients and students report to me that, see how often we're taking a sip of this? So people often say, so how often do you take a sip? What would you say that is? Every, 15 seconds or so? Wouldn't you say that's probably what it is? And then, and if, as I said, if you still have more cramps left, you can get another mug and start it again. And if you find that you have taken this mug phos and you have finished the cup, the whole mug, and you've tried a second mug and they're still not there, my friends, it's likely not the right medicine. No harm done. It doesn't matter if you've taken the wrong medicine. You simply put it aside and you go for another medicine. But if you have the symptoms correct, meaning better from warmth, in other words, it would feel really good if you sat in a hot bath or if you had a hot water bottle pressed against those legs or that leg, and pressure, if you find some comfort in that, it's very likely that your mug phos is going to act. So that's my favorite. That's one of my best medicines, and as I said, it's great for any kind of cramp. It can even be for gastrointestinal cramp. If you could really call it a cramp, let's say baby's colic. Sometimes mag phos is a great one for baby's colic. And you would do the same thing for a baby. You'd put the remedies in some hot water, warm enough water so that it's comfortable for the baby, and put it in a bottle and drop it into the baby's mouth or into a dropper. All righty, let us get on to the next medicine that has a different set of circumstances. And as you remember, my friends, in homeopathy, we're looking for specific symptoms in order to determine which medicine to use. Could I tell you, well, there's one medicine that covers leg cramps and that's it? Well, we could. Actually, there are companies that manufacture. Boron makes one. OHM makes one. They make products that have 2 or 3 or 4 medicines already in it mixed up. But I'd rather teach you tonight to do this one medicine at a time so that you learn how to differentiate, how to tease apart which medicines are the most closely related or most closely representative of the symptoms that the person is experiencing. So the next favorite medicine of mine is Cuprum metallicum. Cuprum metallicum, and I like it in a 6. Cuprum metallicum 6. If all you've got is a 30, that might act. It might, not might, I'm certain that it would act. It is the person has a great sensitivity to touch. So if you just touch that calf, unlike mag phos, when you need mag phos, you want to press against it. It feels better to have pressure and heat. Cuprum is the opposite. There's no comfort in touching. Touching really causes pain, and it becomes overly sensitive. And the area may feel warm. It's like it's inflamed. And the muscles have a sensation of being knotted. So the calves are actually tight and hard and knotted. Sometimes you can actually palpate and feel a knot in the muscle. That's Cuprum metallicum, C-U-P-R-U-M, Cuprum metallicum. It's homeopathic copper, my friends. This can also be great for cramps in the abdomen and I also want to add one more thing, one more piece to this. The need for cuprum is also, it will be determined by the fact that if you stretch the muscle, it feels a little improved. Sometimes it's completely improved, but stretching makes it feel better. Stretching makes it better. Touching makes it worse. Got it? Now we have those two, phos, magnesium phosphoricum, and Cuprum metallicum. Alrighty, let's get to some questions and then we'll get on to the next medicine. I'll just get right out of there. Okay, here we go. There we go. Alrighty. Yes, thank you, Paula. You're right. A bedside thermos also works well. So let's say you needed to carry on with this, and you know that phos works for you. And when you put the hot water in the mug and you drink it all the way down, you do feel relief, but you do notice that you're going to need some more. I would love to wish there was alliteration in calling it thermophos, because in a thermos it works even more conveniently, shall I say, because the water stays hotter longer. It helps activate it, makes it work faster, and then you've got it hot all night long. You can keep it right under your pillow, keep the thermos right there, and whenever you feel you need to take a couple doses or 3 or 4 or 5 doses like I've just done, you can use that. It's really great to use it that way. I've seen Cuprum metallicum cure Tourette's. Carenza, you're absolutely right. Cuprum metallicum is great for spasms. Any kind of spasm, pretty much, even eye spasms and Tourette's, many other kinds, even hiccups. There are many different kinds of spasms that the body can produce. And so can phos be helpful for spasms, my friends. So remember that as well. All righty, let's see what else we've got. Any other questions we've got here? All right, let me just take a sip of my water. Next medicine. This one is going to be familiar to you if you know anything about homeopathy. And this has a very specific set of circumstances as well. This is when the legs are painful after having been in bed. So the body is still. The body's been resting, the legs are resting, but now the person feels they must move. They must move their legs. They're assigned to getting out of bed. They must get out of bed, and they must get up and walk, and there's a restlessness associated with it. We also find that this medicine is worse after midnight, and you already know which one I'm talking about, don't you? Yes, Rhus tox, Rhus toxicodendron, or Rhus tox, R-H-U-S, this is the shortened version, R-H-U-S, tox, T-O-X. It is a great medicine, especially after the legs have been overused. Let's say you've just worked in the garden for 2 hours. Normally you only work in there for half an hour, and this day or the day before you worked in the garden for 2 solid hours, and you really worked hard. Now you get into bed, and now you're finally resting. Upon resting, after having rested for a while, the pain in the calves or feet or shin or even the hands if you've been using a shovel. It can even happen in the hands or the wrists. And even the elbows, for that matter. I wouldn't call it quite a cramp in the elbows, but certainly in the hands, feet, and legs. And we would use Rhus tox. And I often use Rhus tox in a 30, and I've also used it in a 200. And that is really great when you notice that it's better from walking, getting up and moving. There's a sense of restlessness. I'm not saying better in that it's gone. I'm saying that the person is compelled, is required to absolutely get out of bed. They have no choice. Their body is forcing them to get out of bed. And that's when Rhus tox does its best work. Okay. Yep, that's right, Melissa. Cuprum, 21-year-old who had seizures, went from several a day to 1 or less per week. My dear, I have seen Cuprum work for seizures a number of times, whether they're febrile or they're even more chronic seizures than febrile. It is one of our best medicines for seizing. That's exactly what we're talking about with the legs too, right? And the eyes fluttering and hiccups and seizing. You're absolutely right. How long will the mug hold potency? Well, I'm not sure I know exactly what that means. Let's see if I can guess what you mean by that, Tammy. In other words, how long is it good for? The water that has the mug in it is good for, I don't know, a couple days until the sugar that the medicine is on goes bad. I mean, you could have a remedy sitting in a mug for a couple days at least. And if you want it to last even longer, you could put it in the refrigerator, or you could add a little bit of alcohol, and it would protect the sugar from breaking down. Could Cuprum metallicum help with Guillain-Barré? It has been known to do that. Okay, menstrual cramps. Mag-phos usually works for my daughter, but not this month. Well, we do have other suggestions, and I urge you to do this. Joette Calabrese menstrual cramps, and you'll find it on my blog. Let's see what else we've got. Mag-phos works beautifully for little ones when they have unbearable leg cramps and growing pains. Thank you, Carenza. You're absolutely right, because growing pains are, in a way, they are cramps. The pain just melts away. Quite amazing, she says. You're absolutely right. Hi, Celeste. Nice to see people I know here, and Maria and Noreen. Hi, Noreen. Excuse me if I don't recognize you, because there's so many people coming in. It goes. I'm going through it pretty quickly. Let's see what else we've got here. All righty. Then we have another medicine that is one of the top ones. It's not the absolute top. It's one I've teased out the symptoms to determine whether or not it's mag-phos, or whether or not it's Cuprum, depending on the symptoms, or whether or not it's Rhus tox. If none of them fit, or they seem to perhaps fit, but they're not acting, then we're going to use this next one, and then we'll go into how frequently we're going to use these medicines. I already told you how often to use mag-phos. Then I'm going to teach you the other ones. The last one it's not the last one. The last that I chose, at least for tonight, is Colocynthis. Colocynth. Colocynth. So Colocynthis. And it can be used for especially the legs and the feet. So the feet, it can happen in the feet after, for example, having worn shoes that you're not accustomed to. Say you were at a wedding and you wore heels. It can be very, very useful for that. It can also be great for the leg cramps that feel as though there's kind of a numbness, or they feel as though there's a tingling, like they've fallen asleep. And especially, it's great for the thighs. Colocynth, or Colocynthis. Colocynth. And that can be really useful, especially we had not talked about the thighs. Any one of these would have worked for the thighs as well. But Colocynth is specific for the thighs. So we're going to use that in a 30 as well. And we're going to use these medicines when we're using them for an acute, and that's what we're talking about tonight. These leg cramps, let's assume this is not something that happens every night, but it's happening several nights in a row. Let's call this an acute. In other words, it has a natural beginning and a natural end. And then in that case, we're going to use it, let's say, 2-3 times a day. Maybe not first thing in the morning, because that's generally not when it presents. These leg cramps often present at night. So you could start maybe, let's say you anticipate it's going to happen tonight. I know it because it's been happening every night. Then you say start at 7 o'clock, take a dose, then go to maybe 9 o'clock, take another dose, and then have it by the bedside. So it could be 2 to 3 times within a short period of time, unless you're using it in the water, or you're using mag-phos or mug-phos in the water. Now, let's say this is a chronic concern. In other words, this has been going on. This has been going on for months and months and months. First thing that I would think of is, especially if it's an older person, but nonetheless, think of this. Is the person hydrated? Have they had enough water with salt? Because a lot of times that is what's missing. And if you have salt, such as in Celtic salt, magnesium is in the salt, and now you're getting it naturally in the drinking that you're doing during the day. And I've been telling my students, I really have started to adhere to 4 ounces of water with Celtic salt every hour, especially when it's hot. Now, it's been pretty hot around here, so it's not a bad idea to do that. But now let's say we've employed all of that, and we still have those leg cramps. We still have a problem, and it's chronic now. Let's say it's an older man or a woman, and it's every night. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use the medicine twice a day, morning, night. Morning, night, about 10 to 12 hours apart. And then you could add a 3rd dose in the middle of the night if it shows up again. That's except for phos, because phos, we're going to put it in water and we're going to sip until it feels better, until we keep sipping until the hot water goes down and it's no longer hot. Then you can put 4 or 5 more pills into the mug, add more hot water, and stir it again and commence again. Okay, let's see. I have chronic nighttime leg cramps, says Mary, and take phos before I get into bed. During the night, I take a few pills of Cuprum, and I'm good. So, Mary, you're using both, and you've found that it's acted. Beautiful. Brilliant, actually. It's beautiful. I'm very happy to hear that. Deborah says, my daughter has cervical dystonia, a movement disorder we believe was caused by psychotropic drugs over the years. Cuprum may help with this, as with the Tourette's. There's a question mark. I can't tell you what you should be doing. I can just tell you that if you do your homework and you read up on it, and you read in your materia medica under these conditions, under this medicine and those conditions, you may find yourself in a very good position. Love Colocynthis, says Celeste. Great medicine when I had an unknown cramping pain right in the middle of my chest that had me putting pressure for relief. So she was pressing hard, and you can't help yourself. When you need to press, you will press, and that will be an indication that it's likely phos. Happened twice, used Colocynthis both times, and it's been over 6 months since this happened. So you're using Colocynthis instead of phos for this, and I'm delighted to hear it. So this is a good example of she used, even though I'm telling you to use phos because you're pressing, you might have tried, perhaps you did try phos, and it didn't act. Then you go to the next medicine. So that is exactly what we should be doing. Or perhaps you said, I know phos is not going to be it. It just doesn't feel right. Colocynthis does, and that's what you use. Excellent idea. phos is also very good for the heart in general. Not as a general tonic, but rather for when someone has aching, cramping. Sometimes the cramping feels like it's the muscles in the chest. Not really the heart, but muscles in the chest area, the chest wall. Okay, so Highlands went to larger tablets, so they now suggest, I believe that this is an old bottle. This is quite old. I wonder if it even gives me the date here. It's been a long time since I purchased this. And they're still good, my friends. You can buy these remedies, and they last for I actually have remedies that are from 1918. Oh, yes, I have. No, I'm not that old. But they were given to me as a gift, and they still acted when I used them. So you can, when you're using, whatever remedy, pharmacy that you purchase your remedies from, just read the directions on the side. What is a dose? Is it 1 pill or is it 5 pills? Use what it says on the side of the bottle. All righty. So I'm going to change the subject for a moment. I'm going to take a sip of my water. Excuse me. After what's happened this past weekend, people are contacting me and asking me what they should be doing for their anxiety from witnessing an atrocity. Thankfully, my friends, we didn't actually see the worst of it. But if you were in that crowd on Saturday night and you witnessed the pew, pew, and the person who, and witnessed that man who passed away, God rest his soul, and may our prayers go out to his family and the other people we still don't know any information about. if one were to get anxiety, or even not even get anxiety, just having witnessed something like that, the medicine, my friends, is aconitum. And I want you to know this. You need to carry aconitum, aconitum, aconitum. There's a second word in the palace, aconitum, 200. And the person would take, if they've witnessed such a horrific event, 200, maybe twice a day, 3 times a day for a few days. We need to be prepared, my friends. Life is not always as good as we had always have hoped. There is a lot of good, but there's also the downside. And so the best way to handle the downside is to be prepared. So I've also want to remind you that some people now may have fear of going into crowds. I have it in my purse, says Paula. You bet. Aconitum. Fear of going into crowds. Can you imagine somebody who was in that crowd? They may never want to go into a crowd again. Again, aconitum is one of our best medicines, particularly if there's panic associated with it. We also have fear of going into crowds can be argentum nitricum as well as gelsemium. I'm giving you the top remedies. Whichever you choose, you're going to, or whatever one you think, well, let's see what this one's like. Don't just take it. Read up on it in your Materia Medica. And if you don't own my Materia Medica or another Materia Medica, go online. There are Materia Medicas online that are free from the great masters, such as Dr. James Tyler Kent, Dr. Phatak, Phatak. I'm blanking on the other ones. But read up on them and determine whether or not that medicine is appropriate for you. The other one is aconitum, argentum nitricum, and gelsemium. All 3 of those medicines could be strongly considered for a fear of being in crowds. Yes. And the last thing I want to leave you with is fear of impending doom. Fear of a forthcoming disaster. And so I know a lot of people have this fear. Don't be worried, my friends. We have our medicines. And I want you to be armed with the right medicines at all times. I want you to be prepared so that no matter what comes along, you know how to treat yourself and your families. And so impending doom, again, argentum nitricum is a great medicine for that. But so is gelsemium. Yep. Let's see if I've got any other questions. Let's see. Boracay. Thank you, Deb. I said Phatak, Kent, and Boracay. Dr. Boracay. Dr. Boericke. Dr. Boracay. And with that, let us all pray for our nation, for the world, for those who have suffered this past weekend. And I say God bless to you, all of you, and I will see you next week. If you're not part of one of my study groups, do join it. Joette Calabrese, Joette's Learning Center, and you go scroll down until you find the section that's called Gateway to Homeopathy. We need each other. You need a group. Everyone needs a group. You need to be able to be in contact with groups. And there are many people who are guiding these study groups along. If you have any trouble, just call my office, and Eileen will hook you up with a group. And so with that, I say God bless you all. Good night, all. Bye.
With our homeopathic protocols, you learn your remedies. My family needs me, so I must know our remedies. How much to take, how often to treat, and when to stop, and when to repeat. With our homeopathic protocols, you learn your remedies. Athusa, no dairy, it's elementary. With arnica head, arsenicum fed, spigelia slither, orms from wither, no more. My family needs me, so I improve my memory. Not only the rems, but how often to treat, and when to stop, and when to repeat. With your homeopathic protocols, learn your remedies. Belisol red and arnica hydrocera bark, ignatia dark, source of frigid and cuprum to rigid, and crude itches, metallicum, let it melt down your gum, bovies to eat are some great ways to treat ya. La 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 la, homeopathic protocols, learn your remedies. With our homeopathic protocols, you learn your remedies. My family needs me, so I must know our remedies. How much to take, how often to treat, and when to stop, and when to repeat. With our homeopathic protocols, you learn your remedies. Athusa no dairy, it's elementary with arnica head, arsenicum fed, spidulia slither, orms from wither, no more. My family needs me, so I improve my memory. Not only the rems, but how often to treat, and when to stop, and when to repeat. With your homeopathic protocols, learn your remedies. Belisol red and arnica hydrocera bark, ignatia dark, source of frigid and cuprum to rigid, and crude itches, metallicum, let it melt down your gum, bovies to eat are some great ways to treat ya. La 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 la, homeopathic protocols, learn your remedies.